Tell me when you're ready. Okay, I'm ready then. Let's get rolling because I gotta have my notes up. And we're live. You can catch us on Twitch, Rumble, and Facebook. We'll be right back with you, Howls.
um, and several other types. It can be anything from a kanun, an oud. These are all. This is now the Arabic part, the Middle Eastern part, and we employ those kind of on a need for need basis, depending on the scope of a show. But at the core of the group, it's definitely rock based.
Okay.
It's because of the rhythms that make it Middle Eastern.
Got you. So we listened to a little bit of that music, and it was a great vibe.
Yeah.
So you're targeting a certain group of people, or you think that your music is just
not at all? No, it's definitely
worldly?
Yeah.
All over.
If I had my choice, I'd only. If you told me who would be your target market, it would be definitely the Western audiences.
Okay.
Because the reactions I've seen from them are definitely the most like, what is that? Just like you're giving me now.
Right.
The Arabics, however, have kind of heard it before. Maybe not in the context of more of a rock-based style, but they have heard it before. Because it sort of came that way in the 60s and 70s. A lot of it was based orchestrally. So if you have any knowledge whatsoever of orchestras, Middle Eastern orchestras, and I'm going back now to the 20s, 30s, up until probably I would say a good part of the 70s or 80s.
So that part, back then, that's where your influence come from. That's where, you kind of got your concept from back in that era?
I mean, it's definitely 60s and 70s vibed.
Okay.
But the Middle Eastern part, these songs, a lot of these songs that, let's say, I'll give you an example. There was some of these songs in their original format are an hour long, 2 hours long. If you can imagine that.
Wow.
Yeah, I never even knew that.
Wow.
They are. And then everybody in this world knows
And that's
that.
one song.
That's one song. But that one song it could sound like 10 different songs. So there would be several times when a performer. One example of this could be, I'll mention a very famous name, probably the most famous name in the entire Arabic world that ever existed. So Kulthum. She was a singer. She passed away, but very old school. So she was like the queen of the Arabic world, and still is to this day. Okay? There's probably nobody even close to her. Whoever is second is a far second. The point is, when she came, the first 5 minutes are just people standing up and clapping for her. Then the next 5 or 10 minutes would be the orchestra playing. And sometimes it was so good that they'd make them repeat it 2 or 3 times. That's 20 minutes right there. And then the song itself, has so many different sections of just music and then her singing. And this was the way it was for many, many years. Around the time, by the 90s and up until the present day, that world started to get more pop music oriented. Now you have the 3-minute songs with the videos where the guy's on the beach falling in love with some girl, and that's what you see nowadays, but it wasn't like that in the old days. You actually had, these songs were very much more structured, the compositions, everything. Well, so what we did, we sort of based our band on that, but instead of playing a song for 2 hours, we would take the music portion of it, not so much the vocals, but the music portion of it, and we would condense it to 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, at the most, hardly as a song of ours beyond that. And I could keep going on and on about this.
Keep going on and on.
Yeah. Oftentimes, our band, if we had to break it down, it's a combination of just very interesting drum rhythms, patterns. The bass guitar, well, in most bands, it's always just there. And when it's not there, you'll know. And then the leaders, as far as playing the lead parts, are myself and the keyboardist. It's usually an alternation between that. I'll usually do the parts of what a singer would have done, because we most of the time don't have a vocal present.
And that was my next question, but talk about that.
Yeah, so whatever the vocalist would have done, I would do with my guitar. So if a singer is doing something to the effect of da na 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 na, I would be doing on my guitar. Dum dum bum 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 bum. So it's that sort of interpretation. And then the keyboardist would do that. When it's his turn, I would alternate to rhythm. So anybody listening to this that's a musician would understand what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So it's an alternation between rhythm and lead, while the drums certainly serve as that's where the Middle Eastern part comes in. But the sound and the look of it, so if you saw our stage, and it's usually a big stage, some might be intimidated right off the bat, because it's everything that you'd see in a rock band, and then the whole Middle Eastern stuff. There's a bunch of different instruments there. So if you're, let's say, just a typical American music fan, you'd see this and say, "Whoa, what is all that?"
So how many people are in your band?
At the core, again, it's 4.
4.
But we've never played with 4. It's always been usually. I mean, I think the smallest show we've ever did was with 5 of us. But again, if I had to condense it, I split it in between. So imagine I don't know if you can see this, but imagine a square here, right? You got a drum set right in the middle, like you mostly see. Guitar, bass, drums are all on one side usually, and then all the Middle Eastern players are on this side. The drum set splits us up. So our band is really 2 different bands, but we put them together. And then it was challenging at first. But we all sort of knew both worlds. Most of my guys are rock and rollers themselves, and some of them are Middle Eastern. Didn't take long to pitch this idea to them and say, hey, there's nothing going on out there. The belly dancers have garbage to dance to. And the live musicians that were there, it's not that they're bad, they're not. There's actually a bunch of good ones, but it became more of a job for them rather than a passion. So a lot of them started just playing here once a week, this place once a week. Egos started clashing.
That always happens in bands, I feel like.
Big time.
Yeah, it's like bands break up for all these different reasons. So, I mean, that's the 2 bands put together. That has to be tough to get together a lot.
Yeah, but we were structured from the perception of an orchestra. But like any major orchestra anywhere in the world, you can imagine how big they can get. 20 people on upwards to 100.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking of an orchestra. Like, this is huge.
No, but it was structured in that sense. So,
but that's how it sounds like. Also, when you listen to that music, it sounds like it's a lot going on. Like more than just 5 people playing at one time too.
Yeah, well, what you heard right there was probably that. Probably 6 people, maybe. But we are kind of a loud band. I use big amplifiers. I mean, we could sound as loud as Metallica if we needed to. I definitely, we don't skimp out on that. But yeah, and it is definitely in your face. But for about a year straight, I would covertly go to shows, not introduce myself to anybody. And I wanted to see what the scene was like. And honestly, it hasn't gotten any better. In fact, I feel like we haven't made much of a difference at all. Maybe we have, but I'm not going to say that because then I get complacent, So I want to make sure there's always something to look forward to.
Okay.
It's not even about being humble. This is just, no, we got to keep doing better and better.
That's right.
So
5 years in, you got to, looking for 10 to 15 more.
Well, yeah, I'm taking this to the grave with me.
That's
and if it's
right.
not this band, it's just, but those principles in general when it comes to music, yeah. I didn't get into this for sex, drugs, and rock and roll because those kind of were always there anyways.
It comes with the territory.
It comes with the territory. I already know it's going to be there.
I can hang my guitar up tomorrow, and those things are easy to look for because a lot of people think that, oh, that's such a great life. Not really. This isn't.
So why are you into the band life? What made you get into the band? What motivates you to be in a band?
This band?
Uh-huh.
You got that answer already. The scene sucked. My opinion only.
So you're an innovator. You're trying to create something different that you think can be a lot better for your industry.
No, I want to take it back to the glory days where people had to play or were forced to play. But it's kind of where you can't do it alone because people have to band together. I mean, just like you guys got this podcast. Well, somebody somewhere said, well, let's start a podcast. But then there's a team behind that.
Yeah.
And then when it starts to break apart, everybody has to have an equal passion for progressing it. And it's the same way with a band or any endeavor. You know what I mean? So at the time, I was very lucky. My guys bought my idea because they felt the same thing. They were already out there in the scene and they understood. It didn't take long for them to get together and say, okay, we like where this is going or where this could go. Let's try it out. But if right away people are like, how much am I going to get paid? Well, you got to kind of get rid of those guys, unfortunately, right away because if their mind is already on that, because that comes kind of by default. If you're good, right, and it's going to go somewhere, and well, that will come. Like I was telling you, the money, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever, that'll just be there anyway. So if you're already thinking about that, you kind of already dug your coffin for yourself.
Most people start a business or get into some type of passion because it's more of a creative passion. They start that because they have that creative outlook on things. So for them to ask right away how much we're getting paid and all this stuff, you got to be really good, and I feel like you got to practice. You got to have fun with it before you just think you're going to get paid.
Yeah, well, it's called music business, unfortunately, for to my opinion, one reason, because you could be real good rapper, a real good songwriter, a real good whatever, but then there's this business part. Guy asked me the other day, he says, how come there's so much, there's a lot of artists out there, they're not even that great, but they're famous and they're making money. Well, maybe they were great businessmen.
That's true.
Or maybe they were just willing to do anything.
Yeah.
To make it. And
well, it is a business too.
And that's what I was getting
to.
First. Is that. There's a lot of good musicians and artists out there, man. Nobody will ever know who they are because they don't like the business part. I know. I've seen them. They quit. They said, we want nothing to do with it. We have just as much fun dancing in front of the mirror. And I said to them, okay, I get it, man. I've seen them quit and lay it down. I've thought about it too. In fact, I've went on hiatus many times. Yeah. But then something happens somewhere and you get back into it. But the business part is definitely a huge part of it, and it really does take control. Yeah. A lot of good artists died or went away because of the business part.
Yeah. I mean, you can go to Santa Monica or Venice Beach and see really good musicians on the street.
On the street.
So I feel like people aren't going to know a lot of them. You know what I mean?
They're in full control, and that's what counts. Is nobody's going to tell them how to play or what to look like.
That's kind of how it goes.
Maybe that's the way to go these days. Shoot, I don't know. Maybe I'll start taking billionaires with me and play in the
And a lot of people fail too in business too, viewers, and because of stubbornness. You know what I mean? You can't be stubborn in the business. Sometimes it's give or take. When running business and operating a business, you do need a proper team too to help you. And like he stated in the beginning, you can't expect to get paid, right when you start business. Sometimes you have to put in money, before you start getting paid.
Put in work, time, money. I mean, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, and my guys, I was blessed with them. They were all that way. None of them, not one of them was really like about the money.
Right.
They really did like the idea, the concept of it.
And that's how I believe you build a solid team in the beginning. When you got a plan, you got a blueprint, you got something, and everybody is willing to, work together. And even if they have to, sacrifice whatever they have to sacrifice.
I feel like you got to sacrifice a lot of ego too, because the ego gets in the way, and the people think you're a little higher than you are,
right.
and you got to remember you're still a team, so you can't be I. You got to be we.
Right.
Yeah, and that's something I never felt in my group at all with any of the members, where anybody was a diva.
Really good.
Mm-hmm. I don't think so. I never felt that way about anybody. I certainly don't have one. It's probably good to have a little ego, but not to the point where people maybe get turned off.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, and I'm definitely the late bloomer to this world. Like Nina here, she's.
That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get in right now.
She's been dancing to this kind of music far before my band ever existed. Shadi, who's behind the scenes, he's a big deal, a big supporter of this world as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I met them all well into the fact they were doing it already for years.
Yeah.
But that's what it was. I was getting to know people's names, and I had kind of somewhat studied what I thought was going on. And there's still, even to this moment, so much that should change.
Upgrade.
I really do think that way.
Upgrade. You don't upgrade the world.
Well, no, just bring the standard up,
Yeah.
It's gotten cheapened, really. People just want a quick buck, and when it gets to that point where it becomes almost only about money and it becomes a job, the way they play the music, the kind of music, it all just goes away. It's just, okay, I got to go play this gig. I'll see you next week. Yeah. At that point, you're like, it's done. And it is.
So we want to do a shout out to Diamond Studios, and we actually have another guest that we want to introduce before we get too deep in a lot of things. But we would actually like you to introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay.
And go from there.
So my name is Nina. I'm a good friend of Rich. I'm a belly dancer as well. I've danced all over the Middle East as well as okay. So I've danced all over the Middle East. Like, I've lived in Egypt for a while. I was actually I'm kind of going in the middle of my story, but it's okay. So I was going to Egypt to see this big dance festival, and I got an opportunity to stay. I was only supposed to be there for 2 weeks, and then I just stayed a year. I was studying with the most, at the time, she was the top Oriental dance teacher in the world, and she invited me to stay. I lived in her armpit. It was fun. It was a great experience. Then I came back home. Then the Arab Spring happened, so I didn't go back to Egypt. I ended up going to Lebanon, and then from Lebanon I went to Dubai. I started just traveling around and doing shows and events and what have you. It was a really good experience. But going back to Rich and what he's doing for the music scene and everything is really, really quite nice. I would call it more of an Egyptian surf rock, if you would. It's so cool. You don't have to be Middle Eastern or whatever. It's just really fun music, and I like how it's really instrumental, so you can, if you want to have a singer, you could have a singer to his music, but you don't have to.
And we have had singers. And we called it Egyptian surf rock for a while because it's Egyptian rhythms with the sounds of surf music. But lately, I'm trying to go beyond that too. We don't want to just play that anymore. But I get it. I get where people would make that comparison, and from the onset, it was sort of that way.
And that's the vibe she's catching while she's dancing, right?
Well, it's just kind of, it's very 70s. There's, in the 60s and 70s, they used to use a lot of, if you look at Arabic music now, it's quite Western. But a lot of the old, what they call tarab, doesn't really exist anymore. Mm-hmm. It's old-fashioned. You'll still have some new singers doing those songs, but it's very rare. And back in the 60s and 70s, they actually had, surf guitar inside their songs. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
what was the name of that famous guitarist, Rich?
Yeah. I was going to get to that, actually. I'm glad you bring it up. How this band kind of started officially? There's a guy. His name is Megdi El Husseini. I could be more Arabic in my pronunciation, but I'm trying to sound more Western about it because some people,
No, you don't
some
need
people
to.
can understand. But Megdi El Husseini. And the point is, I met him around 2016, just before the band started. And what had happened was he heard about me. And somebody somewhere sent him a video of just playing for a minute.
How long ago was this?
2016.
16.
Yeah, he called me within minutes. I'd never met him, talked to him, but my cousin called me and says, "Hey, someone wants to talk to you," and then it was him. And we all know who he is. In that world, he's a big deal. He's one of the last of the old giants. He was very, very young when he used to play with those orchestras in the 60s. He called me and he was talking Arabic, ahlan, 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 which is kind of like the equivalent of...
Welcome.
Yeah, well,
Hello.
I don't know. But it's a nice thing to say in
Ahlan.
Arabic. I'm going to be in LA in 2 weeks, and you brought me back 40 years just listening to you. The reason he said that is because that guy, that Arabic guitar player Nina's referring to, Omar Khorshid was his name. He died at a young age. He was probably 36. And his death was very mysterious. Nobody wants to talk about it. Some say he got killed. Some think he got in an accident. But he was a great guitar player. I have much respect for him. And Megdi used to play with him. In fact, Omar actually got Megdi his start. So when Omar died, he was obviously very upset about it. And so it had been years since he'd seen somebody that sort of reminded him of Omar. Until I came around.
Well, how did that make you feel then?
Yeah.
What are these giants calling you, saying this kind of stuff to you? You never spoke to him before or met him? How did that make you feel?
It was hard to explain, but he said, "Come see me in 2 weeks." I wasted no time.
Where were you staying at? Like, tell us about this moment. Like,
Yeah, I was in San Diego.
San Diego.
And I'd lived in San Diego for years. In fact, I only recently, about 3 months ago, officially moved to Los Angeles.
Okay.
But at that time, I was in San Diego. He told me to come up and see him. And it didn't take long for him to say, let's do some shows. And we did. And that was great, yeah, because, again, he's a big deal in that world. And if you see him, if he walks into this room right now, you would just see, oh my God, this guy's just the way he looks is kind of different. He's an interesting guy. The way he plays, the way he talks, it's hard to explain. But he's not the most normal looking guy, But he's a wonderful guy, good heart, charismatic, and actually he's in the Guinness Book of Records for being one of the fastest keyboardists in the world.
Was you nervous? Was you starstruck?
No.
It was very normal. Like,
No.
this is what I do.
No, honored.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. That's
I'm not.
good.
I'm well past the point of being nervous about anything, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Just because. Maybe that's why I was able to get in good with some people. I don't know if it was just my playing alone. I would assume it has something to do with my personality too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I hate to say that. I wish I could get nervous because a lot of it is because maybe I don't feel the same way about certain things anymore.
Okay.
It's an honor to be around those people. And it's not just him; it's others too.
Right.
I remember the first time I met Jack Endino, who's a recording engineer. He's most famous for being the godfather of grunge. He did Nirvana's first record and a lot of others. That's another part of myself that I do as well. I'm a recording engineer, and so I remember that moment. It was special. But yeah, I long got past the part about being nervous.
Okay.
Even stage fright, it doesn't exist anymore. I think the audience might be more nervous of me than I am of them.
That's what's up.
But that's how the band started.
Yeah.
Was with Megdi. When we did that first show, I sort of put a hybrid together of what Zaman might look like, and the show went well. And a lot of the band members that would go on to be part of this band were in the audience that night.
Wow.
And it wasn't long after that I took them off the side and said, "Hey, so this is
What we
the concept.
doing?
What do you guys think?" And
Yeah.
just like that, they said, "Let's do it." And then from there, I just met everybody, like just one belly dancer introduced me to this one and that one, and sure enough, there's a subgenre of this stuff. I didn't know anything about dancing at the time, as far as there's a whole circuit of them right in our backyard. I thought there was like one or two, and it turns out there's hundreds.
That doesn't seem like a bad thing, having a bunch of belly dancers around you. That's pretty fun.
That's motivation. He said that's enough motivation for him.
You just play a little better.
Right.
Like, watch this.
I can
Or a
get
little
used to
worse,
this.
depending on what's going on.
You're like, oh, shoot.
At first it was great, but then it got to the point where wherever I go, somebody would ask me, "Where's the dancers?" I'm talking in a nonchalant setting.
Right.
I'm going to have dinner with somebody. Why didn't you bring a dancer with you?
They want to see him too.
Oh yeah, I brought one today. Happy?
We are. We're happy. We appreciate
Can't talk
that.
about belly dances, and that's what you do. A little part of your business. We don't have one.
But
Everybody gets a little better when a woman is present. Everybody's out there a little at their best.
they have manners come out. Right?
We're like, all right.
Let's behave a little
but
bit.
it got that way. It got to the point where I could be playing with this band or this person, and where's the dancers? Well, look, a lot of that is because I'm going to say something here. Anybody who's from that world will relate to this, her included. A lot of and I swear to this day, I hate this in a way you can't imagine. It's still going on. It's even worse than when it was when I started. Early on, any Middle Eastern flyer of any event, you'd have this wonderful picture of whoever the singer is. Usually the dancer is somewhere in the corner.
Small.
Really small. Sometimes their name is not there, or sometimes it's misspelled. And the word superstar is always, every singer has to be a superstar. And I don't understand that at all. Like, superstar here, superstar there. I'm like, well, you've diluted to me, Michael Jackson's a superstar. When I think of superstar, I think of like big people, like people.
Yeah.
So suddenly, if this local person is a superstar too, then I don't know. And in fact, it happened to me once where we were doing a show, some orchestra somewhere. I remember playing with them, and they put my picture in superstar, and I called them and said, "Get rid of it." I'm not trying to be part of that. Let people decide how.
Yeah.
They did already. You said let people decide. The people
decided.
already decided.
He's all nah.
He's like, yes, they actually did. They put you up, and that's how they feel. It's not how about how you feel.
Unless they're
let
just-
us view you, we did view you.
No, but these
we
are
feel
promoters.
Like you're a
Sometimes some promoters do that. They try to just.
They do this because. Not because they care about you or love you. They do it because they want their show to be like it's a much bigger deal than it really is.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I felt I got off point a little bit. When it came to the dancers, they were always being misrepresented very badly. Like that's how I thought. And on top of that, the music wasn't there for them. They always had to bring their own. Heck, I'll tell you how I met her. I'll leave the name of the venue out of it, but it's a local venue here in L.A.
And how long ago was this?
6 years.
Okay.
Was it 6 years?
I'll never forget it. I was in the audience, and at the time I was involved with one of the belly dancers. She invited me to this show. Nina was part of it. I can't count how many times her music skipped. So now we're talking about an established venue here, right? A very well-known venue.
I was using a iPhone. It wasn't a CD. It makes it sound like it's a CD.
Well, whatever the case, the DJ or whoever was in control of music was just up there the whole time, Rather than monitoring the situation, her music kept skipping. And, she's in the middle of dancing here.
Well, I think it was just his chord. It was just his chord. It was,
They needed your expertise.
I guess so,
He didn't
but I remember
care.
after this happened
Okay,
3 or 4
whatever.
times. Imagine you're performing in front of however many
Blast
people,
Right.
Putting her on blast over here.
and then her music just stops. I remember after the show feeling so bad, I went to introduce myself to her.
Mm-hmm.
And
It was a fun little dance, like a dance showcase for other belly dancers or Middle Eastern artists, and
Right.
they get together and they put on shows for each other, and it's kind of a networking opportunity or an event for.
yeah, community thing, like no different than you guys going somewhere where there might be other podcasters.
Right.
This is the same thing. Belly dancers oftentimes will do these.
Just a small network, get
Yeah.
together,
Yes.
And they work
common.
if you want to meet others, and that's how I met her.
Uh-huh.
I feel so bad. I'm like, okay, well, I got this band. You should check it out. You'll never have that problem.
Swoop.
'Cause we're really,
This mic. Come over here to the real side.
We know what's going on over here.
don't worry, you ain't gonna have no Milli Vanilli moments with us. Just, but that's what happened to her. She got Milli Vanilli 4 times that one performance. I felt so bad. I'd never seen that actually, and I still haven't seen that. Thank God anywhere. But that's how I met her, and we were tight since. We became.
We're good friends.
Yeah.
That's
So,
it.
yeah, and that was it. And this is one small example of many that compelled me to even keep this band going. It's seeing stuff like that.
Good, good. Can I get back to going back to the beginning of getting our viewers getting to know where you come from, like where you start?
Oh yeah, like where are you from?
Where
and all
you
that kind of
from? Like, you know.
stuff. I feel like they need to know a lot of this.
Yes. Like, you know, where did you grow up? You know, what was your dreams and aspirations before you started playing the guitar? Or are you living the dream since you were a kid? You know, where did you grow up at? Like, you know, where were you raised?
Oh, that's a loaded question, but
You can tell us everywhere from the beginning.
no. Okay, so yeah, I was born in San Diego,
Okay.
and my story is the classic Kurt Cobain story. I'll say it straight. My parents divorced at 7.
Okay.
My dad shipped us to Detroit. I grew up there. I spent 20 years there. He died 3 years into that.
Detroit.
Detroit.
That's hardcore. That's where
Yeah.
you get your little your swag
Gangster
from. Huh?
from.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I had to know, like, where's that swag? Where's that, you know, little bit of hood, little bit of laugh? Where's that coming from?
We can still a gangster in there.
I don't know.
Maybe an Italian one. Yeah, he likes to dress fancy.
Mhm.
Yeah, with the chains.
No, I don't see it that way. I think more people should dress like this. I think the standard of... I went to an airport the other day just like this, and now there's a guy in pajamas and sandals, you know.
Oh, I know. I can't stand it.
And he's telling me why I'm so dressed. My dad would flip if he saw the way people dress now. And he was a sharp guy, you know. But I mean, that whole generation was. You know, you go back to the way our grandparents...
Especially in Detroit, they wear the chains, they wear the collars. No.
I don't know.
Yeah. In movies.
No, but this is not like...
I've seen it in movies.
I just kind of keep these. You know, how I even ended up with these is different. Different story in its own. I've had them since I was probably a teenager.
Fire.
Yeah,
Is there a,
there's no symbolic meaning
symbolic-
behind them. It's not like Mr. T or something where he, you know, like he's known, like he was known for that. But no, for me, it was I just have them on. It's just. I typically like to dress nice. I think most people should, but most people don't. I haven't worn t-shirt and jeans probably since I was in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, since the 90s. But I was the grungiest kid if you'd met me in the 90s. I mean, I'm telling you, I was that kid. As far as my growing up, yeah, I moved to Detroit in 88. I probably spent the better part of 15 years over there. So I went to school there. I grew up. It's definitely different than California. There's no doubt about it.
What was your dreams growing up? You know, what did you want to be, accomplish, and you know?
Well, early on, I loved sports. I'm talking 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. And I'll stop right there. When gangster rap and grunge became the norm in the early 90s, my dad had just died and the world turned dark for me. So between him dying and the music changing, if you were old enough to remember that period, you could.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do, but there was an instant change or shift in attitude from like that from the 80s to the 90s. And if you're a kid and you're seeing this, you know, and your personal life is already dark, you're like, okay, you see a guy like Tupac or Kurt Cobain, you're like, these guys are me. That's why those two, especially those two, hit their audiences hard because they were their own audiences. So the people were very affected by them, and I was one of them. So I remember, and I saw them in concert. I was a little kid, 13 years old. From then on, I put a guitar. Like my mom bought me a guitar.
13.
When maybe younger. No, I was probably 12 when Kurt Cobain died. Tupac was a few years later. But yeah, I must have been 10 or 11 when I first had a guitar. And for the first couple of years, it was just I was playing church songs.
Good.
Believe it or not, simple acoustic church songs. But 2 years after that, I went to rock. You know. And
Did that bring the light that take you from the dark, get you out of that dark place that you were in?
no,
It did it.
no, and it's still more darker than ever. In fact, it's that's why I was, you know, I don't know who's going to see this episode or not.
You might help somebody.
Yeah, you know, this is not definitely all it's cracked up to be. It's just you can only cope with it. It helps you cope with it. If you're really serious about it, it's nothing fun really. For me, I have more fun playing alone in the bedroom. I've played in front of 2,000 people. It's not all that. But I do it because...
The sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
No, those, I'm telling you, those are...
That's at the beginning. They know how that works at the beginning.
Why do you do it?
It's kind of like trying to prove something to yourself. Well, I made this much, now I'm going to make this much. And it loses its purpose, but you still want to do it because it's like you want to challenge yourself. I remember, like, Mike Tyson saying something once, you know, he really needs no introduction, but he is a good example of this. He said he lost his passion to box after his trainer died, Cus D'Amato. But he kept doing it because he felt he owed it to him to become the champion. But he said that he had no passion doing it. It just became like, oh, I'm just going to knock everybody out anyways. But then it got to the point where eventually a Buster Douglas came around and, and he never really was the same after that.
Right.
And I love him, by the way. I love Tyson, his story.
Shout out to Tyson.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm saying, if you really studied his story, he was never the same after that. Because he was looked at as this invincible monolith, Nobody could believe what happened to him. And I was always attracted to people like that. Or Kurt Cobain, that just come out and knock everybody to pieces. And they did, like any of those people. You don't get those kind of people. So, again, if I had my choice, I would want to be like that. So I thought the Arabic world, the music world, it needs a major kick in the ass right now. So if you had to get an answer to my question, that's the only incentive I have. Honest to God.
What's your heritage? You didn't
Yeah.
Chaldean. You didn't say that.
Yeah, which is most of us came from Iraq. I was born here, but the heritage, I guess, as far as I know, and I'm not the most experted person on this, if that's even a word, but a lot of them started coming here to the States around, I want to say the 50s. My dad personally came here he was a teenager when he came to America, and that was probably in the 50s. My mom came in the 70s, and then if you know anything about politics, Saddam came in, and the war started happening. So a lot of the Chaldeans started leaving, coming to America.
Yeah.
And they became great businessmen. A lot of them do very well. They came to Detroit and San Diego, much like
your dad was a great business guy.
Yeah, he was. He really was. But he died a mysterious death. Nobody really knows the story.
And how old were you, if you don't? Before we go back into that music, how old were you when your dad passed? Because it seemed like it's a sensitive topic. And,
that's probably the single biggest reason I put a guitar in my hand in the first place. 10 years old.
And it's mysterious, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Nobody really knows how he died. They say heart attack, but who really knows? But I'm not to get too much into him. Between his death, the music scene changing, the world atmosphere changing, that's kind of how I said, okay, I'm the outcast. I'm the other guy. I'm not the baby face. I'm a heel. It gave me more pleasure to be that guy. And to this day, I still think I am that way. I would feel like a sellout if I wasn't going to be that guy. I couldn't be anything else anyways.
Into what, be like that Kurt Cobain style? Is that what you're talking about? Like that version? Because I remember when that thing all started, everybody just had like this, they wanted this face on them where they just, like, nothing mattered. You know what I mean? I grew up in that era too, so yeah, that was just a little different.
Yeah, I remember a girl calling me the Kurt Cobain of the Arabic world.
Really?
Yeah, she said you have that same vibe, like you play with conviction.
Dang.
Like you care, but you don't care.
There's a lot of emotion in there, but there is not. At the same time, it's kind of trippy how he played, too. You know what I mean? So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not just him. Again, it was like Tyson. He fought with conviction, like somebody stole something from him.
Yeah, he was like, looked at him like, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna stare down. It's like, you're done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Kurt Cobain did that too. In that world, I'm telling you, I remember one time I was working in a hotel in Detroit. This is a funny story. Brett Michaels from the band Poison walked in, and I knew that, and that was an '80s band, right? By the way.
Shout out to Brett.
Yeah, I'm sorry to bring this up. He may or may not remember, but I remember my friend told me, "Hey, he's here," and I went to purposely put on my Alice in Chains shirt on just because I wanted him to see it. Like, hey, these are the bands that killed your band, Yeah, because that was.
And what did he do? He responded or?
I don't remember. I think he just had a smirk on his face and left.
Oh, really?
No pun intended. But yeah, because that's my point. It was like that was me. I was those guys. I was the Alice in Chains and Nirvana guy, and I used to laugh at the. Actually nowadays things got so bad that I kind of I take that all over again, versus what's out there now. They're actually great musicians, all the bands that came from the '80s, but the way what they projected was a whole different story.
We had a viewer just chat said, "You look great when you smile. Keep smiling."
Well, is she a hot chick? I don't know.
Oh, it was a guy.
He's all frowning now. He's frowning. So let's get into you a little bit.
He just put no homo.
What's your nationality?
Oh no. Okay.
Let's get into you a little.
So I'm American. I'm just an American girl. From
American.
From
She
Arizona.
lying, man. She lying.
I'm from Arizona. No.
Shout out to Arizona.
I know, AZ.
Yeah. So I'm literally okay. So all my life I've traveled. My parents are pilots. So
Okay.
I'm just a real global person. I just travel all the time. I love being an expat. Like out of dance, because when I was dancing a lot and doing my overseas stuff, it was just so much fun to live abroad. I think that's kind of my superpower. I feel like I can go anywhere in the world, and within like 2 weeks, I'll have a job, a place to stay, and some friends because I'm nice and friendly.
And you're from America.
I'm American.
And it's the eyes, though. The eyes, too.
Huh?
It's the eyes, how you
Yeah.
captivate them. Like, I got this.
Exactly. It's a little confidence. But I guess if you say by blood, I just did 23andMe, and I didn't know this, but I'm like 94% British.
Okay.
And I was like, that's really how did that happen? You know, like
We're on one.
I understand, but I mean, my family's been here for generations and generations, so it's like kind of crazy how that happened. But I guess they have empires, so I should like feel, you know, British Empire. Is
Yeah.
also, I have
in
it
your
in my
in
veins.
your blood. That's what's up.
So you've probably seen a lot traveling. I mean, you're doing a lot of the belly dancing when you were traveling?
Yeah, so if you want to talk about my belly dance career, I started when I was 16 in college. It was an elective, and I just took it, and I was so excited about it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I started taking private lessons from everyone that I could in Phoenix, and I ran out of dance teachers, so I started driving to LA once a week, depending on what dance course was happening, at least once a month.
Driving from LA from
Phoenix, 6
Phoenix.
hours one way.
Dang.
I'm really crazy.
Dedicated.
Yeah. So like naturally, then if I get an opportunity. I at the time in the 2000s, I would say a lot of the most famous American belly dancers were located in LA. So I was very fortunate. I would come through. I would do private class with them. I would do the workshops or whatever group classes also. And I got invited from one of the more famous ones, Jelena, to go with her to Egypt, where she was going to be doing a workshop with Rakia Hassan, who at the time she was the owner of Ahlan wa Sahlan, which is a big, it was the biggest, I would say, festival dance event for Oriental dancers, for belly dancers in the world. And I went, and while I was there, Rakia met me through Jelena, and she just liked me. And she was like, "You can stay." And I'm like, "Really? Okay."
Wow.
So I stayed.
and she put you on her wing.
Yeah, I got jobs. Like I got a job in Sharm el-Sheikh for a while, which was like on the Red Sea. I was 23 at the time too, so that was my first time living away from my parents. I moved to Egypt.
That sounds really cool.
That's,
though.
Yeah.
So
it
had to be
sounds
interesting.
cool. It was a real, jarring experience as well. But I mean, I learned a lot from it and grew as a person. And then I came home. I had my Nana, she was sick, and I didn't want to live abroad. And while she was dying, it felt so bad. So I was like, this isn't important. Family's number one.
Yeah.
So I came home, and I stayed with her for a while. And when she passed, like I said before, the Arabic, the Arab Spring had happened. So I'm not going to go back to Egypt when Morsi's there, and Muslim Brotherhood was running the country at that time, you know.
Yeah.
So there was no dancing.
Wow.
So I had made friends with some musicians actually that used to work in the nightclubs like the Arabic dinner houses and stuff where they would have the live entertainment. I made friends with them, and they had connections back in Lebanon, and they're like, "Oh, you're so good. You should go to Lebanon instead of Egypt. Lebanon's cool." So I did. I went, and that was a very interesting experience as well. Oh gosh, I could say some stories.
Tell us a story.
About Lebanon or Bahrain. I could say Bahrain. I could say, oh God. Well, I guess I can say this one. So okay, this is kind of funny. Okay. All right, are we ready here? Okay.
Are you going to dance on the table?
No, we're not dancing on the table. Not now. Where's the music? Oh my God. Okay.
Where's the music?
I have new high heels. Okay. So, okay. All right. My story. So I went to this this agent's office. He goes, "Okay, Nina, I have a show for you. It's a party event." His friend came and he said, "Okay, you're gonna dance for the head of immigration for Lebanon."
And I bet you they brought like 50 of them.
No, it was a table. It was a table. It was a table of 5 people sitting there, and they're all like the head of the immigration. And I'm American, and I'm belly dancing for them in Lebanon.
That's crazy.
But what was even worse is, at the time, it's not like this anymore, but to get your dancing license there, you would have to be there's things people don't know about. You had to have an artist visa, which they give. When you're an artist visa, it's like having a black stamp on your passport at the time, because everyone in the Middle East knew the artist visas, you would get checked every month for HIV, because that's what they would give the super nightclub girls that would come and do strip teases. And so I was like, hell no, I'm not going to go get an artist visa. I'm going to dance under the radar and hope nothing happens. I mean, nothing did happen, but that's kind of the irony of it is that I danced under the radar in front of the people that were in charge. So it's I think I was somebody's prank.
You're on thug life.
I was someone's prank. They were I got a complaint because I'm super pasty white because I'm 94% British, right? So one of the guys told the friend that hired me, was like, "Why is she so white?" He goes, "She's Snow White.
She's Snow White.
She should be bronzage." I'm like, I don't.
Again, so how long you been belly dancing? One more time.
Okay, I just told you.
16, right?
16, yes.
So, you're going to do some math.
No, I was trying to get
It's
her
over
age.
20 years. Over
20 years. Okay, I was
over.
trying to get the age in there without saying
Try
the
to find.
age.
You try
How long you been?
Trying to be slick. Try to be
22.
slick.
22
Trying to be
years.
slick. Okay, so this belly dancing world is kind of like a big world to us now.
We just actually went to our first belly
Yes.
dance.
At a theater.
This last weekend.
Oh, you went to Jelina's show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we met her. We actually did a podcast.
So when
with
she
her.
say Jelena, she's a giant. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? She's
she
a
is a
giant in
giant.
this. And
That's-
she's,
We did a show with her last year, I remember, our band.
okay.
She was a real pro.
Yeah,
Right.
she was a big influence on me
I
in
think
my
it's really
career.
classy belly dancing. It's not like in the club twerking at all. It's just
No.
it's legit.
They put on a whole.
It's classy.
Like a whole show type.
Yeah,
thing,
that's really cool.
with
I
different
like it.
scenes.
It's different. Really different.
Yeah, so hopefully we can see more and get invited to more of
You
the
guys
the
can
adventure.
come see.
Yeah, we got to.
Zaman, and I'll be with Zaman and
That's what's up.
come sit with some of my dancer friends.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
that's for sure.
For sure.
I have a friend of mine. Yeah,
So where have
I'll
you
say
traveled? Like like your band, like how where
How far have you traveled?
How
with
far
the
do you
band,
travel?
How far has the band?
Yes.
No, we haven't gone out of the country yet.
Not
Okay.
yet.
Yeah, that's a much more. It's. I hate to say it, but it's a lot easier for one person to go out of the country.
Yeah.
Than an entire band.
Mm-hmm.
So no, we haven't gone that far yet. I'd love to, but it has not happened yet.
Right. Okay.
That'd be a good payday for that.
We've
huh?
gone to Las Vegas. We've gone in the country, but not outside the country.
Oh, so you traveled to Vegas? That's awesome.
Yeah, we did that, and but no, beyond that, no. It's something I definitely want to do, though.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not easy.
That's the connection in Egypt.
In Dubai.
Dubai.
I'm down to go to Dubai. Let's do this. Let's watch play
I love Dubai.
I never
I've
been.
got-
I want to go so bad.
I have
I know
so many
you went.
amazing
Yeah, I've been one
friends.
time. It's
Yeah.
it's pretty nice.
When did you go? What year?
I think it was 2018.
Okay.
18. I was there. I went to Qatar. I've been to Dubai. I've been to Qatar.
It's Doha.
Doha.
Yeah. Okay.
How long were you out there for?
God, I was living in Dubai for 5 years. I love
Wow.
Emirates. I have so many best friends there. One of my very best friends is still there. I'm gonna go see her probably in February. My birthday's the 5th of February and hers is the 9th. So like we celebrate our birthdays.
Yeah, party it up.
Yeah.
Do some belly dancing.
My brother's
yacht.
birthday is the 5th. Shout out Kendall.
Yeah, we're going there.
Yay! Happy
We'll do a Howls over
birthday.
Baaz on the yacht.
Shit, we'll take our podcast to Dubai and Qatar.
I'm down. Let's do that.
We have to take our whole production company.
Shotty, we got to go to Dubai. The
I love
podcast.
Dubai.
Say that
Dubai
again.
is amazing.
It's such a party city. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, and we bring in the band too.
Yeah, let's do this.
Zaman show.
Yeah, he said, "Show me the money.
I'll play along with Zaman.
Show me the money." That's what's up.
Yeah, we did a show recently with it was here in California with a belly dancer that now lives in Dubai.
Okay.
Goes by
I
the-
knew her when she
Carmen,
she
yeah.
first
Yeah.
started over
In
there.
fact, I did a podcast with her myself some months ago.
Nice.
I may have briefly mentioned that earlier, but yeah, she's one of the top like Iraqi style dancers. I say Iraqi style
Okay.
because there's different subgenres.
Oh, okay.
It can go deep
Yeah.
when you get into Middle Eastern dance. You're like, what? Gets really nerdy.
Yeah,
Oh, really? Gets
Really nerdy.
but she's out of Dubai. So if you go to Dubai, hi Carmen, new friends. So
Hi,
look out
Carmen.
for them, please.
Yeah, Howls over Baaz over
Call
there.
for us. We're available to come out and do podcasts.
And when you meet her, you'll owe me one because she's very good looking.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm saying that publicly, so I mean it. I mean that humbly, you know. But no, she's a true pro who actually went to great lengths to establish herself. She came from Ensenada, this girl,
Nice.
and she actually talked about this. So I won't say much now, but what she did, I wish a lot of other dancers would do, was take those kind of risks and leaps and bounds to make something of themselves. Because a lot of them that I worked with personally they kind of came and gone, and they had great talent.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're nothing.
Networking is everything, and a lot of, like you said before, that business part of it is.
There's a real ugly side too. Some of the girls, they're tired of the fighting and stuff. Like when I was dancing in New York, I found glass in my ballroom shoes.
Wow, somebody tried to.
Haters.
So
I didn't even know it was
cannot.
going
I
down
was
in that
in
world.
Egypt, and there was this one dancer. She came through, and she had a cigarette, and she was putting cigarettes out on my friend's costume.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot we're not talking about when it comes to belly dancing.
Let's talk
Women
about
are
it.
mean sometimes.
I mean,
Wow.
there's a lot.
What are-
Where's the
haters,
competition?
Not all
Where's
the
the
time.
competition? Where's the competition coming from when you're saying they're doing all this?
Okay, look, like when you're okay, I don't feel like this. I try to be very humble and keep my ego in check as much as possible. But when you are an artist and you're getting claps, and you could have a million, oh gosh,
It's okay. You're good.
You're good.
you could have a million claps, but somebody comes and gives you 1 ounce of criticism, and you will think about that criticism. So
Dang.
a lot of
People
your
do that stuff,
self-worth is just relied on your claps and your looks and this and that. So it can be, if you're not going to be doing like stage productions afterwards, or you don't want to be a teacher afterwards, a lot of them, they just kind of retire and they find another job or another passion.
So if it's not being lucrative for them, then they're looking at everybody else that has that opportunity to grow and be lucrative in this type of field. They start hating on that person.
Yeah, I mean, jealousy is very rampant.
And
there.
girls, man, catty. I mean, we know.
I mean, look, I have
girls.
friends that are dancers that will be my friends forever, and and everyone's an individual. But it definitely, there's a lot of, I shouldn't say that, but there's
should.
definitely
Well, in every
some
industry,
insecurity and
Yeah.
backbiting. You
Yeah.
just have to rise above it and
You gotta-
remember
you
you
gotta
do
have
it
tough
for the
skin.
art.
I'm
you
sure
know?
that almost like cheerleading it too. They
Oh
have,
yeah,
they have
yeah,
clicks.
it's the same.
yeah.
It's the same. Thank you for that. It's the
Almost
same.
like cheerleading. They have clicks and whoever.
I mean, everything out there. I mean, almost every genre industry, they got all that kind of stuff.
That's true.
You know?
You're gonna have backbiting.
It is what
anything.
it is. You know. I mean, we're starting to see a little bit of comments in here and there about but some of the guests that come in, they want to talk crap to them. It's just the way it goes. Like you just gotta have tough skin, you know. We know that, and the thing is, we don't like when someone talks mess to us. We grew up a little different, a little rough. We want to just give it to them, you know. So we gotta understand
the business part of it.
Okay, like calm, keep it cool, business
Breathe.
cool, yeah.
Right.
Instead of hearing all these comments, you're like, wait a minute, what did they just say? Like, and a lot of them do it undercover, like they do it under like a fake account. So I mean, we got to get used to that too. So I feel like every industry has that, you know. People just hating and doing things like that. So gotta have tough skin, huh?
Oh, 100%. And then especially if you're going to be using your looks to get jobs, and that gets really hard for women as you get older. I've met some like older women that used to be really, really hot, and they still act really, really hot, but they're older.
They don't even know that.
Oh, you must have been hot because you're a real bee.
Yeah, we see those girls too at the bar. I mean, like, we
big.
used to be
You were
hot.
hot, weren't you?
But you ain't that. You ain't that no more. We're like, we can tell they used to be hot. We
Yeah.
know. We can see it from the attitude,
But
the
please,
action.
but please check your ego at the door.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You ain't going home with nobody.
Let the young ones come in now. I'm not too young myself, so I shouldn't be the one to talk here. Oh,
So
man.
yeah. Tell us a little bit more about Dubai, though. What you did when you were out
Oh
there.
my gosh. Okay. So Dubai. I have another funny story.
Before you tell your story, I'm sorry. I know you asked that question. I want to know the difference between, dancing in the Middle East and dancing
Here?
in America.
Okay.
Well, that's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
So
I
there's
have an answer
really
for that, but go ahead.
so
You-
you do?
I do,
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, no, he asked
from
you
both
so-
of y'all
We'll give it
perspectives
both of you,
because
yeah.
both of you
Go
guys
ahead.
seen it.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, there's really not much difference. The hustle's the same.
Okay.
If you need to go and get a job, if you want to go and get a job here, like in a dinner restaurant, or you want to get first on Google for corporate events or whatever, it's the same
This is
there.
huge.
It's the same. I would say the negotiation in Dubai is different because in America, we're a melting pot, and it's like our pot has already been cooked, so we do have like a common culture that you're supposed to abide by. In
Yeah.
Emirates, they don't have that. So like the Indians hang out with Indians, the British hang out with the British. It's very separate
the
in
British?
that way. No, I was
No, I'm
actually
just
with
saying.
the Brazilians.
Okay.
I would meet the other Americans there, and I'm like, dude, I wouldn't be your friend in the States. I'm not going to be your friend here,
What I was thinking is like the criticism, because you would think they'd be more like, because that's where it's from, the dancing. So I mean, I would think that they'd be more. No, it's not like that there though.
Look, like I would say, I never danced in a place in the Middle East where I would have money thrown on me, because that would be signified as you're dancing in a very cheap place, like a very low quality.
And it
place.
might get and some expectation might, after you finish dancing.
Yeah, in certain locations, yes, you're correct.
Mm-hmm.
I never worked in those places, but here, like if I'm going to dance in a dinner club, people want to throw money on me all day long. I'm not going to mind.
Right. Because you protect it a little bit different? Is that the
No,
reason?
it's just I don't know. I don't know where that's. I would like to try to figure that out. Where that crossover happened when it became not cool to throw money on the dance. But what's another thing that would be really different? I would say, okay, when I first came back from Dubai, I was dancing in this place I was subbing for a friend of mine, and I was used to, they would like give me food and water, whatever I want, tea, coffee, shisha, whatever. Not shisha, shisha.
I wouldn't know either way. You could say it wrong, and I still wouldn't know.
I was going to say the other one, that one, I would go to jail over in Dubai really quickly if I had that. But,
What is it? I want to know what it is.
no, I get
must
shisha
be
and
good.
hashish like mixed up. And so
What is
I'm
that?
like,
Though? What's the bad one? I wanna
the
know what the bad one
hashish.
What's hashish?
You don't know what hashish is?
No, me neither.
Hashish is weed,
Oh, weed,
okay.
marijuana,
but it's like a
bud.
thicker. You don't know that?
I didn't know the word for that.
Okay, well
man.
maybe
And I'm
have
sure our
someone.
I'm sure you know.
I'm sure our viewers don't know what that is
The
either.
trichomes
So,
from the buds. The trichomes.
oh,
Smash it.
wow. Okay.
Anyway,
That's
I
different.
I didn't do that,
Oh, okay.
but it doesn't matter.
Why'd you pause so much? I didn't. Like you're trying to convince him. I didn't do that.
Hey, I don't care. I don't judge it. I'm not the
Not in
judge.
Dubai. Not in Dubai. I didn't do it.
I like how you did
Hey,
that.
speaking about not wanting to go to jail in Dubai. One day,
Oh, okay. I have to tell you a funny story about that.
Okay,
about a
what-
performance. Okay, go ahead.
real quick. She said I was in Dubai one time and I was using the urinal with the one that you go poop in, and I left the door open, and I thought they were gonna kill me. They were so mad that I left. I was like, and one person's like, "Oh, that's disrespectful." So I'm like, "Am I going to go to jail for peeing with the urinal door open?"
Oh, you can't even pee with the urinal door open?
Bro, I was like, they were standing there, they were looking at me, and I was like, "Oh, it's 5 of them and 1 of me." I was like, you know me, I slid out like, what's cracking? They was like,
they
"You
got
don't
u-
do that," and I'm
They have
like,
urinal doors?
it was like, yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't know that.
Because you gotta poop in there too. You gotta poop, and they have the little thing that wash.
Oh, I thought like the urinal, an actual just
no,
urinal.
not just the not
yeah,
outside
yeah.
where everybody can see. It was a door,
Yeah.
and I had the door open, and I was standing right there because I don't like to be close to the urinal.
Was that in Dubai Mall?
It was actually at a hotel.
Which hotel?
It was
El
at
Qasr?
I forgot the hotel I was staying in, but it was a nice hotel, of course. But
So many nice hotels.
so many nice hotels there, but they were offended. And I got out. I was like, and I went to the pool.
Oh, should have seen you.
No, they actually went to the pool with me. Like they had their own little section, and I'm sitting over there, and I'm after one drink after another, right? So of course they still looking at me. So I'm like, okay, it's only 5 of y'all. I'm ready now. I got alcohol in me.
I gotta feel much.
You ain't gonna feel much. And then it was like 20 of them.
Oh, dang.
I was like, well, time to go.
And they were still staring at you?
Nah, they went on with their party.
You just said, buy me give me a drink and put it on them.
Right. So back to your story.
Yeah.
In Dubai. So what happened?
Well,
so,
it's not in Dubai. It's in Bahrain.
so
I danced in this one place in Bahrain, and I met one of my dearest friends. She was a singer, and those people like you walk out, you see them, and you're like, oh my God, it's you. Anyway, so I met her during that time, but it was the first night I was there. They had their dancer like canceled or something happened to the previous dancer, so they flew me fast from Dubai to Bahrain to to do the show, to do like a small little contract there. And I didn't have all my costumes with me because I had just gotten to Dubai from Lebanon. I still had my costumes in Lebanon, like I was getting them shipped over. And I told my agent at the time, I said, listen, if you want me to come, that's fine. I only have 3 costumes. Like, I can't. So, and my shorts. Usually I wear shorts underneath my dresses. But this time, I didn't even have my shorts with me. So, I get there, and of course the stage is higher than
So
the
you
people.
you got an applause afterwards.
Well, I mean, I made sure I was safe, but like I did a little diaper tuck with my skirt and stuff. But like it was funny. One of my dresses, which is kind of a mermaid cut, so it was really tight, and it had peekaboos on the sides. But I was dancing and my costume broke, and like opened, like. Boom! Like my ass was hanging out in Bahrain. That was the only time I would say that I'd ever run off a stage from a costume or anything bad happening, because I was literally afraid I was going to get arrested for showing my ass on stage.
Wow.
So they do that out there,
Yes.
huh?
I was like running away,
Dang. That's crazy.
but
Yeah.
they had me come back. Like I guess they weren't bothered by it.
they were
I
like,
still
we're back.
stayed.
They must have liked it.
Right,
I
right,
just, they said, "Do you have another costume?" I'm like, "Yeah."
right.
I wanted to get back to you on that question, though.
Yes.
We were saying the difference between dancing out there and then dancing in the States, and the difference between like how you're criticized if you are, because you said you had an answer for that one too.
Yeah, so I've never been to those countries.
Okay.
So I won't touch on that because I can't, but I can touch culturally.
Okay.
The Middle Easterners, I should say respectfully speaking, more primarily the Egyptians, they usually take the credit for starting belly dancing. Even though there's Iraqi belly dancers and this and that, but typically Egypt. Nonetheless, let's just categorize it to Middle Eastern. Unless you spoke the language or are from the culture, or actually are the culture, let's say like myself, and I mean especially the old schoolers. Oh, I don't even know where to start. It's a very loaded answer, but it's an interesting one. I think a lot of people should know it. As far as the Middle Easterners are concerned, in fact, I've seen people fight about this. Where I remember one incident where a dancer just did her thing normally. Nobody would think anything of it. For some reason, this older Middle Eastern lady and her started fighting, and she's shouting there in Arabic. And this dancer doesn't understand what's going on, but I'm understanding everything. Basically, it was summed up to you're a fake dancer. You bring shame to the culture, and you're not a real Egyptian or something. But she's saying this in Arabic, and the dancer has no idea what's going on. But everybody else is listening to this, and they know because most of the majority of the audience was Middle Eastern. So, like in anything, I suppose. Even though, just like whatever else, dancing has transcended into other cultures, but it'll always be where the Middle Easterners think, no, we know it better than anybody else,
Right.
and it's become third rate now.
Yeah.
In a way, I will be honest, it kind of has, at least, even music has in general.
Yeah.
It's just been,
Yeah.
but some
Completely
might say
agree.
no, it hasn't. It's evolving. Well,
I completely agree with you on that end.
a lot of things, and dancing is not excluded.
Yeah.
But this was one incident I've seen, and then there's many different ones. But eventually, this lady just left, but there's a lot of people that they do. I feel, and I fear they feel this way. The Middle Easterners, what they're holding back, they feel like, oh, you guys are just all looks. You don't really have the moves though, because you can never know the moves like we know the moves because we're the culture.
Yeah.
It's like they used to say, white boys can't jump kind of thing.
Yeah.
There might be one or two here and there, but you're still not. You're just a white boy. You'll never be us. And it's really like that in this culture.
So, do you feel that
I'm not sure it's racist that comes, but is it? I don't know. I don't think it's a racial thing. It's just you can never be our art form because you're not us. Okay, you were saying?
A lot of cultures kind of do that, huh?
I don't necessarily. Okay, yes, that exists, but
Yeah.
it's like.
And there's more, but go on. There's more to the answer, but I wasn't finished. But I wanna
No,
hear
it's
it.
okay. You finish. No,
yes,
I'll
yes.
add.
No, finish.
This is just one example.
Yes, finish.
Okay. There's a dancer I was very close with, and she'll remain nameless. She literally quit because of this mentality.
Mm-hmm.
For years and years and years. She was a fine dancer, probably still is, but I don't really know how active she is anymore. She may or may not be, but I don't know. And it just got to the point where everywhere where she went, there was this weird energy about her, where everybody just wanted to be up in her, if you know what I mean. But she was a great dancer.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why.
She had these great eyes. No.
You're like, damn.
That's not what you think, though. She wasn't the body. She didn't have that body. She didn't walk up in there like whoever. She could walk in this room now. You wouldn't think anything of her. Like, say, some other girls.
She had the dance charisma.
But her dance, yeah. That's
There was this
probably
She
weird
had a
energy about her, and everybody,
dance
even
charisma.
even myself, like, there was this energy about her. But the point is, it eventually caught up to her, okay? And a lot of it had to do with the Middle Eastern culture. I mean, heck, I remember doing a show once, and she was one of the girls, and I remember going backstage, and one of the people in the audience came, to me. This is a Middle Eastern guy, by the way, asking me if he can hook up with her. Because now that's hardly would you see anybody outside Middle Eastern culture do that. But why do you think they did? Because in their mind and their eyes, they've had those experiences before, where they did maybe. And I'm getting to a point here.
Okay, go ahead.
But this girl, after years and years and years of having to go through this, and maybe she did nothing wrong outside of just performing. She may have very well been like anyone else. She had her boyfriend or whatever. I know, but I won't say. I'm just saying. But I'm saying from the onset, you would see this and think nothing of it. But for years and years and years, she just said, "That's it, man. I'm sick of it." And I remember one time we went out, and she told me, "Let's go to a strip club." I said, "Okay." And I remember we were sitting like right where the topless dancers would dance, and she started tearing up, you know. And she said, "This is what they think of me. I'm just, you know, all they don't look at me for my art, you know, for my dancing. They just think I'm a hot piece of ass or something." I mean, she kind of went on hiatus after that, and but that stuck with me that moment, you know.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
you know.
I have to now chime in because
go ahead,
this isn't
this was a real
okay.
experience, though.
So
You know?
I understand.
This eventually
but,
got to this goal.
okay,
You know?
okay, but you know, look, there's jerks. Okay, anytime a woman is going to dance in a sexy fashion or in a feminine way, it's going to arouse people. It's natural. Okay, so there are, of course, religious people that don't like that will poo-poo on dancing over there. It's haram for them. But, you know, they'll hire me for their graduations or their weddings. If I'm a stripper, why am I dancing in a wedding? Why am I going and dancing in someone's birthday party or corporate event or doing some kind of culture show?
Yeah.
You know, but there is a kind of village mentality. I don't know another way to put it, so excuse me. I don't mean to offend anyone
That
by
makes
any
sense,
means.
though, saying it like that.
But it's just, you know, they don't have the education to understand, you know, it's art. And I'm not saying every dancer really is doing an art too. There are probably, let's be fair, you know.
Yeah. There's bad apples out there.
Yeah. But
are good apples.
you know, I'm someone who used to drive 6 hours one way for dance class. So I
Putting time
studied
in
with
that art.
with the best in Egypt. I worked in Lebanon. I did all these things. But like, for instance, they do have those places where, like I said before, I wouldn't dance in places in the Middle East that would throw money.
Yeah.
They were cheap places where they would expect maybe something else. Because they don't have the outlet. Also, like in Egypt, when I was there before the revolution, when Mubarak, I was getting harassed all the time by men.
I was going to ask, is it
It
like
was horrible. Like, okay, like I had to be careful. Like, I was 23 too, so, and white girl, so it was very exotic for them. So, I remember like dressing like a slob and getting harassed. I'm like, it doesn't matter if I dress nice or a slob. I'm going to dress nice. So I would always wear like red lipstick and makeup after that point. But I would get people following me if, okay,
Dang.
here. Oh,
You're good. Don't worry about it.
sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I'll do it. You can keep
It's
talking.
my boob. It touched it. Just kind of comes off.
I'm sure the audience don't mind that.
I just got excited. I'm sorry.
She's ready to dance.
I'm ready to
Y'all
go.
got the music?
I have the moves. All right. So, what was I going to
Clear
say?
the table. Let's go.
No, but when I was going from, like, I had gotten out of a taxi early because there was traffic and I had to walk in the street. I was in Do'it going to where my costume atelier was. And I must have accidentally looked at someone, or somebody thought I looked at them, because here comes this 65-year-old man, bald with paint on his man dress with missing teeth, saying, Ya salam late, fin belin taurusi, yes salam, hello adik. Like catcalling me, you know?
Yeah.
And everyone's looking, and I'm
What the heck?
nervous. I'm like, he can't go
That's
with
worse
me
than
to the
Mexico.
belly dance costume shop, you know? Like,
Right.
that's going to be bad. So I waited. I had to find a way to embarrass him. So I waited. There was like a metro and lots of people. So I turned around and I said to him, Hanamish uta kelb, which means I'm not a cat, you dog. So you don't want to like call someone a animal in Arabic.
Yeah.
It's very rude. So, and he was like so shocked I spoke Arabic, and he stopped following me at that point. But like, so like I have more stories like that. You can't, like, you don't, if you look at a guy in the eyes, they'll just misunderstand it so quickly. And it's just a sexual,
Hey, that's even here.
Hey, we
though.
like this. No, just kidding.
no.
I feel like a lot of dudes do the same kind of thing. Not as
Yeah,
bad.
like we talked about that on our podcast too.
Yeah, I feel like,
Like,
Mexico's kind of the same way, though. I mean, they're all like that.
Macho
too, you know?
cultures,
yeah,
maybe.
It is. But you know what, though? We're still going to do the other one. So you want to close this one?
Yeah,
'cause
let's.
We're going to be going live on the other one.
Okay.
So we're gonna close out on this one. We will be back. But yeah, we're gonna close out.
Thank you guys for
Yeah,
coming.
thank you for coming on. But we
Appreciate
will be
y'all.
back with you guys. So you want to close this
Okay.
out?
Cool.
I'm Ronnie Adams, Howls over Baaz,
I'm Jacob Costas. Shed the sheep, and we're out.
and we're out.
Peace.